Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for today's webinar about optimizing gas and thermal energy sources. My name is Nicole, and today with me I have Danny again. Maybe you remember him from last week's amazing forecasting webinar. He's back with us, and we're super excited.
Thanks,
Danny
Nicole.
is here. We also have Mireia from the support team. She's our amazing support engineer, and she will show us a fuel tank management app that's the newest addition to Dexma in our Energy Apps store, Energy Apps market. Before that, though, Danny is going to take us through some hardware solutions for monitoring gas and thermal energy. Then he'll show us a quick demo of how to do that in Dexma Energy Manager, so we're very excited for that. And then Mireia will come back with the fuel tank management app. And then we have time for questions at the end, so make sure that you put your questions in the chat box that you see outlined here in red, and we'll get to those at the end of the session.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's go.
Let's go.
So, for those of you who don't know us, we are Dexma. We are an energy management software company based in sunny Barcelona. We do energy management software, cloud-based, SaaS solution for energy management in corporate, commercial, public administration, and industrial buildings. Our software is hardware neutral, so that means of all the sensors and meters out there, and there are hundreds, and trust us, we know, they're probably compatible and integratable with our solution. So that's a great thing about Dexma. And our overall aim is to reduce your energy use and costs, which at this time of the year, the holiday season, is probably going to go up. Winter is coming. Well, winter is pretty much here. Wherever you are in the world, this is a concern, so during the webinar today, we'll tell you more about how to manage that. So some of our proudest achievements have been recognized by some pretty important research companies that you can see down here in the left corner. Navigant Research, Memory, Vedantix, and Groom Energy have all mentioned our product. We've also got a couple of great reviews, well, more than a couple, quite a few, on Captera, which is a business software review site. So if you've used our product before and you haven't left us a review, please go ahead and do that. We love to hear from you. Here's a sample of our markets and customers. So as you can see, we don't only work with energy management companies, but with all different kinds of industries, from banks to museums to food and beverage. You can find Dexma managing the energy of a lot of surprising places around the world and a lot of big brands. So we're very proud of that. We have more than 1,000 active customers, and that's growing every day. And our global footprint, you can see, is worldwide. We have an active partner network of more than 200 partners from all over the world. You can see that in every continent we have a partner. And if you'd like to become part of our partner network, you can go to dexmatech.com and check the partners page and learn more about that. Just get in touch with us if you're interested. Okay, so now I want to explain a bit about our philosophy at Dexma, which is the 3 steps to energy management. And they are detect, analyze, and control. So what does that mean? Well, detecting is all about when you start out on your energy management journey and you need to figure out what's going on with your energy consumption. So no matter if you have 1 building or 100 buildings, when you upload that data, that's the first step towards getting to the control part. So that's very important. The analysis part is when you have that data in the system and you start to look at it and ask yourself what it means and how can I make it actionable. So that's a really core part of what we're going to be talking about today, especially in this webinar. And then the control part is obviously taking action and doing something to reduce that consumption. And we do have options for that as well. So these are the 3 steps to keep in mind when you're talking about energy management. So why do energy management companies, why do ESCOs all over the world choose to work with our solution? Well, you might have been talking with other energy management providers, and whether they're cloud solutions or on-premise solutions, they pretty much have these different features like dashboards, reports. They're web-based, okay, all of that is there. Maybe they're hardware agnostic too, or claim to be, or maybe they don't charge for having multiple users. That's all fine. We, of course, have all those things, but we have a little bit of extra benefits that I want to explain to you now. So First of all, there's the capabilities for data acquisition with more than 150 hardware integrations. So when we say that we're hardware neutral, we really mean it. We challenge you to find a sensor or meter that we cannot integrate. And if you do find one, then you can talk to us and we'll find a way to do it for you. We also offer advanced features like measurement and verification, custom reporting, the Energy Apps Market, which we're going to show you a new app that's on there in this webinar at the end. And of course, forecasting, which is a very exciting feature that you can learn more about if you check out last week's webinar. Mm-hmm. And of course, speed is so important. I can't begin to tell you how much time and money is lost sitting and waiting for things to work at your computer when you're trying to get those reports in by the end of the month, when you're trying to, at the end of the year, understand what's going on with your energy. Speed, time is money. So having less than a second average page load, that really helps. Finally, reliable and scalability is another thing that we offer that's setting us apart from the competition. So now let's get to the main event. We have Danny here with us, and he's about to explain to you now some hardware solutions for monitoring gas and thermal energy. Take it away, Danny.
Thank you, Nicole. Thank you for that introduction about our company. And now I would like to explain to our audience what's you can do to monitor gas and the thermal energy, right? It's becoming very, very sexy.
I think
especially in the Europe countries, right?
Yeah.
So why we should focus on gas and thermal energy?
Why should we?
Yeah, well, basically, so if you have a look at the overall final energy consumption by source, okay, and just taking industry and services, that would be all the buildings and all the industries that's happening in Europe. So you have a chart that looks like that one, right? So basically, the base of every single of the overall final energy consumption is gas. Then we have electricity, then we have oil, then we have solid fuels like coal, like biomass, and then we have others. Okay, but the majority of the consumption is gas. And you could maybe imagine that it was the electricity, right?
I thought so.
So, but if you take the numbers, then you see that the gas has the majority of it. The point is that the gas is not as expensive as it's the other ones. So that's one point that I will explain later. So if you make the focus in 2013, so if you take just 3 years ago the final energy consumption in Europe, just in industry plus services, then you see that almost like 40% of overall energy, it's gas.
It's quite a bit more.
Right, so gas represents nearly 40% of the total energy consumed in Europe in the industrial service and sectors. Okay, so that's the importance of that energy source. So what are gas and thermal used for? Right, so why exactly? So we use gas and thermal energy basically for space heating and cooling as well. So you can
a lot of people forget about that.
Exactly. So you can cool with gas consumption too, or with thermal using the district heating, for instance, technologies. Okay. Then you have for sure the water heating, right? So when you have to make shower or laundry, exactly. Then cooking, and then a lot of industrial processes. So the majority part of the total gas consumed is due to industrial processes, like melting, that kind of things, okay?
Right.
And I found during that days that I was preparing that webinar, I found a lot of machinery that work with gas.
Specific machines?
Specific machines. Even you have clocks that work with gas.
Really?
Or lights, or even the iron machine, right? That you can just plug with gas. That's very, very old, but yeah, it exists.
Still today?
It's still today, right? So you can even use gas for that.
Interesting.
You know, and having to account that what's happening with the gas price, right? So the gas price is actually going down, so it's dropping. Okay, so if you have a look at
this is for Europe, right?
This is for Europe.
Because I know in some countries it is going up.
Like in the United Kingdom, for example, from the Brexit, they are growing. But if we take into account the overall price in the EU28 and the EA, so you see basically that during last 2 to 3 years the gas prices are going down.
That's right.
So they are dropping. Okay, and if we have a look at specific country by country, just Sweden pays like a very differentiator price, like 8 cents per kilowatt hour.
A lot more.
But all of the others in the European country, they pay around 4 or 5 cents per kilowatt hour.
I see.
if you take overall general prices for electricity, it's triple that number. So the electricity more or less is around 10 cents, 12 cents. Meanwhile, the gas, it's 4 or 5 cents. Okay, so that's a huge difference. So that's why people, it's not still very worried about gas. Because yeah, it's a higher consumer, maybe higher than the electricity one, but the price
it's cheaper.
It's cheaper, right? So gas is 60% cheaper than electricity in the majority of European countries. But that's why this is so sexy,
right?
Okay? Because you can take electricity loads and move it into the gas loads too, and start monitoring gas as well. So why our customers and our partners want to analyze their gas and thermal consumption?
Why do
right?
they?
If it's so cheap and...
Yeah, why should they care about it if it's so cheap?
So that's the point, right?
Who needs to monitor that?
Well, basically because despite being cheap, it is the largest energy source for many customers.
Okay.
So for CO2 emissions and that kind of emission thing, then it's mandatory to monitor that as well.
Right.
Because it's cheap, but it emits the same as any other source. You know, then it's an explored energy source, right? So in the year that we are today, most of people, it's monitoring and analyzing electricity and taking savings from the electricity energy source. And I see that the electricity analysis is becoming saturated. Okay, so there is no any more space there. So many partners and customers are going to the gas energy source, gas or thermal.
Kind of asking, what can we do to innovate?
Exactly, to keep saving, right? So that's the point.
Nice.
Then there are a lot of new technology in place, like producing cooling with gas. So this is something that is just starting to appear into the market.
Okay.
And there are a lot of big saving energy opportunities. Okay. And then there is another issue apart from the CO2 emissions that affects as well to big companies, that they have big penalties in terms of gas consumption. So if they exceed what they have contracted.
So they might be paying more than they need to.
Exactly.
If they could just keep an eye.
So the benefit, maybe it's not just saving energy for gas, it's trying to control my gas consumption. Okay, just to not have some penalties.
Okay.
So those are mainly the benefits, and those are very, very exciting, right?
Definitely. So, but how can we actually then monitor our consumption?
Yeah, well, there, as any other gas sources, so you have multiple ways to do that. What I've been trying to explain, it's like 3 or 4 ways to do it.
Okay.
With particular hardware and prices as well, right? So I think that this is very interesting information for our partners and customers. So let's try to say it. So first of all, we will focus on gas consumption monitoring because it's different from the thermal energy. Okay. So this is the gas monitoring overview. Okay, so basically we have the gas meter, the gas physical meter, and you have always to go through pulses. Okay, so you have always to talk with the meter manufacturer and try to get the pulse converter. Okay. Once you have pulses, then it's very important to know that if you want to monitor gas, you can just plug the gas pulse counter inside the box of the meter.
Pretty dangerous, probably.
Exactly. Because it can explode.
Wow.
So you have to work always with ATX barriers.
So that prevents against any kind of explosion?
Explosion, yeah,
cool.
Basically, and many other things. But just to have it very clear, you have always to work behind an ATX barrier when you are monitoring gas.
Does that affect the monitoring at all?
No.
Okay.
No, because it's like a way to not having a contact directly
between like a physical
two wires. Right. Exactly. Then basically you need a pulse counter. It goes through Modbus protocol, and then you have a gateway that sends data to the cloud.
Right.
Through 3G GPRS or through Ethernet connection. Okay. That's all. To keep in mind, so here when we will share the presentation with our audience today, I have noted here like 5 points that they have to keep in mind when they want to start doing the monitoring. Okay. So we always monitor pulses. Then we transform them to volume and energy in Dexma Energy Manager. Okay, so but the outsource, the output in the field, it's pulses. Okay, you have to look at the pulse adapter for your gas meter. So ask to the meter manufacturer. Okay, ATX barrier is mandatory. Okay, otherwise the meter room could explode. That's so dangerous. Some pulse counters and gateways require electrical power supply. So you have to take into account that many times the gas physical meter, it's very far from the building.
Right.
So you have to fix it or to find a way to power supply the pulse counter and the gateway. Okay, so it's a challenge for some installations. And then you can use Ethernet or GPRS depending on the pressure conditions. And what data points do we monitor with gas, right? So we basically take the pulses, and then inside the software we have the volume, the cubic meters, normalized gas volume. So depending on pressure and temperature, you can normalize the volume. Okay, and it's corrected inside the software. And then you convert the normalized gas volume to the energy, to kilowatt hours. Okay, that it's finally what it's going to be built by your company. Good. So that's the main overview. Then I've wanted to show to the audience 3 different options to monitor with an approximated time of installation in minutes and approximated price for the hardware that it's involved.
Okay, that's just the hardware cost.
Exactly, just the hardware cost, not the installation cost or not the other things that you should fix before it installs this. Okay, so this is like the first option. We have the meter, we have the pulses, we have the ATX barrier, we have a pulse counter. In that case, you can introduce a circuit or LM for E4O. Okay, this is 4 inputs for pulses, so you can monitor up to 4 pulse counters. Okay, so if you have 4 different meters in your room, then with just 1 pulse counter, you can get all 4 meters.
Okay, that's pretty
okay. And then through Modbus, you have to connect a gateway, a Modbus gateway, which is the Dexma, which is our gateway. Okay. All of those prices are the retail prices. Okay. Then for installers, you have a margin, so we all know how it works in that.
Of course.
Perfect. Then to keep in mind, this is a solution that you can get data in real time every 15 minutes. You can use up to 4 pulse counters. Then pulse counters and gateways have to be powered, so you have to provide them supply to connect them. Then pulse counters and gateways are installed in a separate box with ATX barriers. So you have to think that you will need a separate box to install it out of the main room.
So you have to make sure you have enough space there for that.
Exactly.
Okay.
And the Ethernet connection is necessary. If you want to use the GPRS connection, then you need to add 200 euros more to the cost. Okay. So it depends on the connections that are available into the building. Good. That's the first option. It's full wired. Okay.
Would this be the cheapest option or the?
Well, it's not the cheapest. It's one option. We have two more of them, and the last one, it's the best one.
Okay. I'm excited for that one.
Exactly. So then it's an option number 2, which is the hybrid option. Okay, which is wired plus wireless. Okay. It's a bit more difficult to install because you have all the wireless things that you have to set up. Okay. And the cost is more or less similar, so it's 850, 845. So it doesn't differ that much. The main benefit from that one is that between the pulse counter and the Zigbee gateway, you don't need a wire there.
Okay, so it's good if it's far away from the.
Exactly.
Okay.
I forgot here the ATX barriers, but you guys don't never forget.
But by now we know you've got to have that thing.
Exactly. Otherwise, well, they could maybe happen something very big. So in that solution, you can still have data in real time, so that's good. Every 15 minutes, 1 pulse counter. You can add more with same Zigbee gateway, but you need to add for each pulse one of those. So one of the pulse counters. Okay. So if you have 4, then your solution you will have 4 of them. Pulse counter powered by batteries. So in that case, you don't need to power this. This is self-powered, and this you have to power it. Okay. Pulse counter and gateway need to be installed in a separate box. This one, it's inside the same room. Okay. And Ethernet connection is necessary. Otherwise, you will add 200 euros. Okay. So this is an hybrid solution.
Okay.
Wired and wireless. Okay. So depending. Then we go to the last one, to the third one. Okay. But for me, it's like the perfect solution. It
looks really simple.
It's very compact, very simple, and maybe the trade-off of that solution is that you have not data in real time. So your data comes day +1. So today you will have the data that comes from yesterday.
Right.
And the resolution is in hourly frequency. Okay, so it's not quarter hourly, it's hourly. Okay, and why is that? Because the single system is self-powered by batteries, so it tries to save as much battery as possible. So instead of making the communication through Ethernet or 3G, it makes it through GSM. So it's 2G, the typical phone communication that we had since 80s.
Right.
Okay, and it connects with the server just once a day in order to save energy.
Right.
So it's the most efficient hardware monitoring as well.
Interesting.
You know, so it's up to 4 pulse counters, itself, without adding anything else. So it's just one box for 4 pulse counters. Then you have the pulse counter plus gateway all-in-one solution. So it's just one box, self-powered by batteries, ATX barriers itself. So you don't need to install any other ATX barrier, and it has a GCM connection.
So if space is an issue, or if hardware is an issue, then this is the simplest way to
basically, for me, until we didn't discover that option, was installing the pulse counters and the gateways. Now that we have discovered that solution, then we work for that.
Interesting.
So that's the best one. Even though, because the installation time it's less, because it's less equipment that you have to install, so it's just one box, and the cost, it's very competitive. It's half cost the other one.
Cool.
Why we should choose then the other solutions? Well, basically, in case that you are already doing the monitoring for gas or for water, and you have those hardware in place.
I see. Okay.
So if you're using those hardware for other energy sources or other sensors, then you can use those sensors to monitor the gas. But if you're going just to use it for gas, then go for a more complex solution.
Makes sense.
Okay. And if you guys are interested in that solution, just contact us and
we'll put you in touch.
Yeah, we can talk about that. Then what about thermal?
Yeah, we have to talk about thermal.
Yeah. So we've explained a lot about gas. Let's talk about thermal. Well, thermal, it's a bit different. So in thermal, what you have, it's pipes. Okay. And thermal, what you have, it's a room into your building that comes the cooling and the heating energy sources made for a district heating project. Okay. And you need to install here a similar sensor similar to that one. And the sensor basically takes temperatures and takes flows. Okay. And from those meters, using the formulas, it calculates enthalpies and then calculates the energy that you're consuming from that. Okay, but it's a bit different. So let's have a look at it. So instead of just putting a probe or just installing a current transformer like in electricity, here what we have to do is to introduce the sensor inside the pipe.
Oh, wow.
So maybe you have to change some piping.
Right.
Okay. So that's what I explained to the partners, that installing thermal sensors is not always very easy, because
you have to take apart some stuff.
Exactly. And maybe take some parts of the piping and install a different one. So installing, for instance, T piping or Y piping, right, to introduce the temperature sensor or the flow sensor itself. Okay. All of those guys, so the guys that are promoting that hardware have perfectly explained installation guides. Yeah. So you can just download one of those guides and start looking at how to install it. Okay. So as an overview, it's more or less the same that we have with the gas. So you have the thermal meter. The thermal meter normally talks in Modbus or Modbus, and then depending on the protocol that you choose for the thermal meter, then you install one gateway or another one, and then that gateway sends it to the net, to the cloud. Okay, so same as with gas, to keep in mind for our audience. The meter monitors temperatures and mass flows. Internally, it calculates fluid enthalpies, and as an output, provides heating and cooling consumed energy, temperatures, powers, mass flows. Depending on the quality of the sensor, it will provide more outputs or less outputs. So it depends on how much money you want to invest in it and what are the customer needs, for sure, right? It's not easy to install, so being really honest, it's hard to install. Often it's intrusive, so you have to make some works into the installation.
Right, okay. It might mean stopping some kind of system.
Exactly.
And
Thermometers and gateways require electrical power supply, so there doesn't exist self-powered sensors. and they use Ethernet or GPRS depending on the project condition.
Right. Okay.
So what data points do we monitor inside the software? Basically thermal power for both heating and cooling, thermal energy for heating and cooling, the mass flows, well that's wrong, the mass flow, heat water volume, or inlet outlet temperatures. It's not always the same for all projects, but that's like the what people tries to get from the installation.
Right.
There's customers, for instance, and they just need the thermal energy for heating and cooling, and that's all, to make them tenant billing or whatever.
Okay.
Okay. So it depends.
But they do have the option of monitoring all those.
Exactly. So we provide the options of monitoring all of this, even more variables that are not here displayed. But then inside the software, you can choose which ones you want to take from the meter.
Great.
Okay. So again, which options do we have? Thermal monitoring, option 1, option with Modbus.
Okay.
Okay. So you can install, well, take the Camstrup multi-call, that one. It has a very big price ranges between 500 euros. Why is that? Because of the diameter of the pipe.
Oh, okay, that's to do with the diameter. That
exactly. So you have to basically plug this into the same pipe.
Okay.
So depending on the diameter, then it has a price or another one.
Interesting.
But the one that it's expensive, it's for very big diameters.
Huge for,
so
okay.
yeah, so it's huge. It's for very big industries. Okay. With that technology in place, what you have is data in real time. This is cool. Thermometer price depends on the pipe diameter.
Okay.
Thermometer and Modbus gateways have to be powered. So they need external supply. And Ethernet connection is necessary. So you can add 200 euros for GPRS solution in case you use our gateway. Okay, but it's very simple. So once you have installed the sensor, that it's when it's really difficult, then it's just a Modbus cable that it's connected to the Dexma2, and the Dexma2 sends the data to the cloud. Okay. This is using Modbus. An average installation of almost 1 day, but it's basically to install the sensor.
Right.
The first one, it's far more difficult than the when you have bit of experience, you know. And then the cost is around 1,500 euros. So I took like an average price for it.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Then we have this other option that it's basically almost the same, but just changing Modbus for Mbus.
What's the difference?
The difference is in the protocol. So depending on the project that you have, so for instance, if you are already doing other kind of sensor installation to the same place and you're using Modbus, then you would like to use this in Modbus as well.
Right.
So you can use the same gateway for everything. But if you are just monitoring thermal, then you can choose which gateway you want to use depending on the protocol. Okay. So it's basically the same thermal meter with the Mbus gateway. The price is similar, so it's just a matter of which protocol do we have to use.
Okay.
And well, that's all regarding the hardware issues. Yeah. So let's move maybe and see how it works inside the software.
Let's do that.
Right. So let's go. Let's avoid the PowerPoint and everything. It should be here. Yeah. So just to say to the audience that this is our real-time demo. Okay. So if you go to www.dexmatech.com and you just click there, you could access as well to the same data that I'm gonna show you now. Okay, so it's very easy. Well, I'm not going to perform a full demonstration of the product because it's just targeting in thermal and gas. However, Dexel is very easy to use, right? So you have a hierarchy selection here for the hierarchy of your project. So which building do you want to analyze? And you have the dashboard, the analysis, the reports, and the other section in it. So it's very easy to get the inputs from where you can save energy. And then what I love always to start, it's from the settings part, right? So this is our project. In that case, I'm based in a corporate building project. So we have different buildings around the world in Canada, in Europe, in USA, and then we have different buildings in different cities. Even in Barcelona's building, we have different tenants. So you can make tenant billing for thermal and for gas as well, right? And as any monitoring project starts for the resisting and gateway. Okay, so here it's where you have to pick which gateway, which technology did you select to your project, right? So this is the Dexma2, this is the Ilbaco, this is the Mbus for thermal, right? And then we have the Iskra X4 that it's the gas metering, the solution, the all-in-one solution.
That's right.
It's the Iskra X4. So you just simply, if you have purchased an X64, you just simply click on next, and then the Excel requires you the name. This is your name. This is the serial number that is into the Iskra box, okay, and then which is your time zone. That's all, as simple as it is.
Really?
Really.
Only 3 things?
Yeah, just 3 inputs, and then you get all the devices from the Iskra, even if you have more than one pulses, so that's the point.
Easy.
Easy. Then inside the software, you will convert from pulses to cubic meters, to normalized cubic meters, and to energy. Okay?
Okay.
And once you have this for both electricity or gas or water, well, in Dexel, I didn't show that in preferences, you can configure some preferences for your account. So here is where you select which energy sources you would like to work with. Okay, so by default, we always select electricity, gas, and water. Okay. But if you are making a thermal-based project or a gas volume or gas normalized volume, then you can just simply check which ones you would like to use into your project. Good.
That's in the preferences.
That's in the preferences. Then when you move to analysis, then it's the cool part, right? Because it's where I can analyze my thermal issues. So if I have different sensors on it, and I just click on update, then it's where I can compare multiple gas or thermal meters, thermal cooling or thermal for heating, right? And start making some assumptions, taking into account how much it I consume in a particular period of time, right? So I can move and take a look just for October. And then you know how quick it works, right? So
pretty fast.
You can change it for daily resolution, right? So you see every day which is your pattern of consumption. Then if you have configured the ratios, you can divide by area, right? So the Dextel automatically tries to normalize your consumption, okay? And then you have a summary table to detect which ones are the higher consumers and the lower consumers. This always can be set in different visualizations, so pie charts or bars, or you can export it to Excel spreadsheet or to add it into a custom report.
Oh,
right?
Customized report. That's
exactly. And every week or every day even, so that's one of our last features that you can do daily reporting, so you can track your consumption. That's cool.
Cool.
Then for us, having an energy source is not just showing the consumption and trying to analyze the consumption, but as well the cost. So for thermal and as well for gas and for any other energy source that you have into the software, you can configure your costs on it.
Yeah, which parts are more expensive during which times of year, for example.
Exactly. So if you want to know, for instance, how much did I consume during November and what's the cost of it, so you have here all your different consumptions. This is hour by hour, but you can just change it to daily, right? And this is your daily cost. For instance, in November 22nd, we have spent 327 euros just in thermal energy.
Wow.
Wow, yeah. And that's the overall consumption for the total month, right? But from that, what you can do is the bill. So you can create the monthly bill from this.
Right.
Okay. So if we go to reports, Dexel loads all the different reports. You just click on to new report creation, right?
Wow, look at all those.
And here we have all the different templates. Those are default templates. So for thermal, we have the thermal bill simulation, both monthly or on demand. So from a particular day to another particular day. And then we have as well for gas, right?
Great.
I've been creating some of those, so we can go right now to Barcelona's monthly bill, and I have it here. So today it's first of month, so I have it already without having to wait for the company to send it to me, right? So that's my bill.
Great.
That's my bill,
that's
right?
Super useful to know.
Exactly. Our customers can customize their report with their own logo and their own colors, right? Then what else? We create alerts. So based on thresholds or based on the cost of it, right? So Dexel as well allows you to create different kind of alerts.
So if I have a budget already and I can put that in the alerts and it will let me know if I've gone over.
Exactly. So basically I have alerts, for instance, at my place, at my house.
Oh, really?
So when I exceed from €1 per day, then I have like a trigger in my email.
Danny's saving for his vacation to Christmas vacation.
So you can select from different alerts, right? The cost alert, the react, well, that's more for electricity, but the no data, so hardware.
If there's a meter problem, then you can.
It could happen that maybe it lost the connection, the connectivity, or something. So you have to be aware when a hardware is failing, or as well the threshold, right? So just send me an alert if my consumption go above that particular number.
Nice.
And that's more or less everything that I wanted to show today. In case that you have doubts, just ask them into the GoToWebinar thing.
Exactly. The chatbot.
The chatbot, yeah. So that's the demo. Just as a recap, okay? So working with thermal energy or gas, and understanding thermal for both heating and cooling energy, you can monitor the consumption, okay? You can have dashboards and widgets. You can track your KPIs. You can have the billing cost calculation and as well the tenant billing, because Dexel allows you to create parts of the building. You can have measurement and verification saving projects, and you can have the forecast. So for us in our software, thermal and gas, it's as electricity in terms of features. So it has exactly the same features, okay?
Okay, thank you so much, Danny, for taking us through that. Now we have Mireia from our support team who will take us through the brand new fuel tank app and how to manage. So take it away, Mireia.
Hi, hello everybody. Thanks Danny and Nicole for showing us all these amazing things through the Excel of the thermal and gas energies. So today we are gonna present you an app that we developed a few months ago, right Danny? Mm-hmm. And it enables you to manage your fuel tanks and to know the consumption of your tanks, because as you know, you have all your levels, but maybe you want to know the consumption of your tanks when you do a refill, the stocks, and all these kind of things. So this application allows you to do it. And what are the benefits? So basically, you can manage all your tank consumption and without hardware solutions. So it's basically a kind of manual app that you can import and indicate here your loads and your levels and so on. And yeah, you will, I'm going to show you through the Excel, but you can set up your tanks and configure all your stocks and instantly know your tank consumption and use it in every single page in the Excel. So you will know your consumption and you can get your reports, you can generate an alert, or you can get the cost and all these kind of things from the Excel. So here it's how the application looks like. Okay, you can have here all your tanks configured. Now I'm gonna show you in the Excel directly. And here you can just indicate if you are you do a load or you are doing a reading of the level of the tank. So internally the application do the calculations and transform all these levels to consumption. So yeah, let's go to the Excel first. So we are here and we go to analysis, and here you have an application called we can go first to the market. Here we have all the applications, as a growing number of applications in our Energy Apps market, and one of them is the Fulltime Manager that it's here. Okay, it's installed in the Excel, and so let's see how it works. We go to analysis, and here we click in Fulltime Manager. Great. Here I can see all the tanks that I have previously configured in my account. I have just one, but let's create a new one. Okay, I click here in new tank, and let's imagine that I'm gonna configure my tank for Barcelona.
Yeah, well, you are trying to configure a tank. Just explain people why this is so difficult to monitor tanking, because the problem is when you make a refill, if you are having a sensor on the fuel, then the sensor detects that there is an increase of level, so it sends us a data reading with a higher value. Okay, But the problem is for Dexel to understand that this is not the energy that has been consumed. It's the potential energy that you now have into your tank because you have that level on fuel. Just keep configuring. And so what we have detected is that it was a missing in the market to solve that kind of fuel tank analysis.
Great, Danny. Thanks for explanation. So yeah, basically we just ask for some kind of information. For example, the minimum stock that the tanks allow, let's say 10. Then the maximum stock, as you know, there is a limited tank, so imagine that it's 100, okay? And here we have, when you are configuring the tank here in the app, the first initial stock that you have available, okay? Imagine that it's 80, okay? And it's, we went today at 10 in the morning, imagine, okay? That means that so far our consumption should be 20, right? Because if imagine that the tank was full and then now we have 80, that means that now we should have 20 as consumption and we should see this value in as a device in all the Excel, okay? Mm-hmm. Then we can add a description if you want here to have, that's a description. We can click on save. And we have here, okay, our tank from Barcelona. So let's insert some readings here. We have two different kinds of ways to import readings, manually or importing an Excel file directly. Imagine that you have all the records from the previous year, so you can import directly through an Excel and have it in the Excel. Mm-hmm. So let's just start for the manual insertion. Okay, imagine that now we have 70. Okay, I went now at 3 this afternoon. Okay, so let's indicate here. So 3, yeah. Here. Okay. What does it mean? That if in my initial stock I had 80 and now I'm indicating here a reading of 70, my consumption should be 10. That's the difference between 80 and 70.
But it's 10 like in 5 hours.
In 5 hours, so exactly.
As well, so, Dexel ponderates that consumption.
Exactly. We like divide this consumption in every hour from the day, so from 10 to 3, and divide this consumption in this time. We click on save, and then the application do its own calculations and imports the reading. Okay.
Cool.
So yeah, basically let me show you an example here from the Excel file. So as I said you previously, you can import directly an Excel file if you have all the values from the whole year, let's say. Uh-huh. And imagine that that's another that's the template for importing. So I started with 100. So in this column, it represents the readings, okay, the level of the tank. Mm-hmm. And then imagine that I fill the tank. So here with 190, that means that I fill the tank basically. So with all these values, as you see here, the value decreases, but that means, as Danny was explaining you, that the consumption doesn't decrease. That means that we do the difference between every single level, okay, and we transform to consumption. That means that here I consume 50, from here to here I consume 10, from here to here I consume 30. Then I have a fill, so that means that I will have 200 in my tank. And then if I have again 170, that means that I have 30 as consumption.
Exactly.
And all these kind of calculations that seem easy, Dexel does it. Well, the application does it itself. Okay. Well, pretty much that's all. Hope you like the application, and if you have some tanks monitored, you can start using in Dexel.
Great.
Thank you, Mireia. Thank you. If you guys have questions about how to use the Fuel Tank Manager app, you can put it here in the chat box, or you can always send us a mail later on. Here you have already some questions. Wow.
A lot of them.
A lot of them. But first, before we get to the questions and while we're looking at them, we want to tell you about a special Christmas promotion that we have launched just today because it's the 1st of December. Many of you probably already know about our Energy Grader report, which is totally free. And this December, for the entire month of December, if you get your Energy Grader report in during this month, you will have the chance to win an Amazon gift card worth 50 euros. So all you have to do is go to energygrader.net. All you need is just one utility bill. You upload it, and in a couple of minutes, you'll have your energy report on your way and see if you win.
In a couple of days.
Sorry, the report only takes a couple of minutes to do the form, but to get it in your inbox, it will take a couple of days. Like Santa's elves are going to work on it for you. Okay, let's get to some of the questions now. Let's see.
Perfect. For gas monitoring, do you happen to know gas meter manufacturers, host meters, emit pulses? In my experience, not all of them do. Yeah, that's true. So the first thing that you need to ask to the gas meter hardware company is how to convert the output to pulses.
Okay.
Because some of them are like the mechanical reader. Mm-hmm. Okay, and there you have to attach like the pulse converter.
Right, it's like an add-on.
Yeah, it's like a magnetic thing mm-hmm. that converts every time that the roulette makes 1 kilowatt hour, it converts it to 1 pulse.
Okay.
Okay.
So yeah. are there meters that already?
Yeah, but normally almost right now all of them have that conversion. Maybe if you find some very old industries, then you may have some troubles there.
Okay.
Okay.
We have another question here. If we can get all the hardware mentioned in the webinar via Dexma.
Yeah, that's right. So we can provide you for that hardware. So in case you may be interested in it, just send us an email to partners@dexmatech.com or to support@dexmatech.com, and we will help you for that and for the project.
What about setting up the formulas that the thermometer uses to calculate the output? Do I have to do that?
Well, the formulas that are used to calculate the thermometer itself are programmed inside the hardware, right? But what you can do at Dexel is to use different data points or different readings that you may want to create a third-party formula. Mm-hmm. So you can create different virtual data points. Based on that. And this is done thanks to another application called the Virtual Devices that you can install it. It's free, available into the Energy Apps Market. So you just simply go there, install it, and you have it there.
Perfect. Okay. Are there any type of non-invasive sensors for thermal and flow?
Yes, there are, but they're so expensive.
Really?
So yeah, and the accuracy, it's not, well, we haven't tested yet, right? So, but there are some hardware. Exist. Yeah, they do exist.
They're really expensive.
And we can tell you which hardware brands that they have.
Okay.
That they are. Okay.
So if you want to know more about that, you can get in touch. Let's see what else.
Dexel receives pulses or cubic meters. In order to obtain 10 kilowatt hours, you need to consider the higher, this is the in English, the higher heating value or the lower heating value. These values are often given by a supplier once a month, a week, for a month. Yeah, exactly. So the question is about how to maintain those numbers that can change every month, right? So right now, what it's doable, it's manually to change that value inside the software, but you have to remember it. Okay.
Right. Okay.
So there is no anything that to change it in real time. Okay.
Not at the moment, anyway.
Not yet. Then it's a question for Mireia. Can you also use this app for residential usage?
The fuel tank app, they're asking.
I think so.
Yes, if you have a tank. Your home,
at your home, like a diesel tank, or for your car.
Yes.
For your car to see.
Or if you have a farm, maybe.
Exactly. Yeah. Yes. That's just indicate the values and it's not even just.
Yeah. So for instance, so if you have a very big home with a tank of 1,000 liters or a pool. No. Yeah. Sure. So that's totally working for home.
Yeah. Great.
We are Well, it says that it has a 3,000 liter tank. Whoa, that's
a big
beautiful. So it's for all the winter, maybe? Or
Okay.
then we have, we're talking about
Yeah, that's the same.
So there is no other questions, maybe?
I think that's all the questions, but if you do think of some more after the webinar, then again, just send us an email and we'll get back to you with your answer the best we can.
That's it.
So thanks so much. That's all the time we have for today. Danny, thank you for showing us, and Mireia, thank you also for showing us the fuel tank app. We hope you enjoyed the webinar, and we'll remind you again about the Energy Grader giveaway this December, through the whole month of December, to do an Energy Grader report and get your chance to win some Amazon gift cards just in time for Christmas. Okay. Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.